Hey guys, so here we go. We're just going to be loading the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye. This is basically what it looks like when I first put in the cartridge. Just keep in mind, I am using the expansion pack, which is doubling my video RAM of the N64 from the original 4 megabytes. So I'm doing plus 4, so we have 8 megabytes. So the video quality is better this way. Now, as you'll see eventually during the gameplay, it's still not the best that you can have, but honestly, I remember it being pretty good back when I used to play it years ago. Of course, I'm now using a regular 1080p television, but as you could tell, I'm going through the menus here. The video quality here is pretty good. So here we go, we're selecting the mission. I'm just going to go with the basic agent. I haven't played this game in years, probably more than a decade at this point. So I'm going to be a little bit stale on my gameplay. I probably won't even know what I'm doing. So we're just going to play it like normal. I'm going to try to skip through all of this unnecessary stuff here. Let's see where it loads. Alright, so here we go. I got this basic gun right here. Let's walk around some, see what the quality is like. I mean, they do look like people. The shooting seems to be pretty accurate. I'm just trying to figure out how to kind of get the crosshairs on my targets. As you all know, the N64 has a whole bunch of buttons on the right side. So, just trying to adjust my aim. But I remember when I was a kid, I guess years ago, this seemed to be state of the art to me. Now playing it even with the expanded video RAM just seems so archaic. I'm having a hard time even telling where these people are. If anybody knows, I guess I would love to know whether that's kind of a result of using a non-CRT type television. But you could tell here the shooting is just terrible. Let's see. What I can say is, I guess the frame rate is pretty good, so the game never really slows down. The people and the actual image is drawn pretty quickly. The polygons on the screen are pretty accurate. The colors are fairly good. The controllability is not bad. So this game is actually one of the best representations of a movie. This is based on GoldenEye, or Pierce Brosnan starred in the movie in 1995. The levels are pretty much indicative of a lot of the missions that I guess the actor did in the movie. Um, so the game itself is a 1997 release, and on the Nintendo 64 platform, this and Super Mario 64, I think it's called Mario 60, whatever it is regarded as some of the best games on the system. So this was one of the first 3D shooters, I guess, to incorporate a really detailed multiplayer mode where I remember playing the split 4 screen at the time with a lot of my friends. And this was one of the only systems, I guess, where you didn't need a multi-tap, because the N64 had 4 controller ports built right in. So all you needed was a couple of extra remotes, and you had hours and hours of fun. This is really what this game was known for. So ever since then, a lot of the modern shooters, especially on the Xbox and the PS4, they're really not multiplayer based, unless you consider going online and playing with many people all over the world. But they're really not based to play. They're really not made to play with multiple people in the same room, you could say. So as you could tell, I'm trying to get into this building to get some kind of items, and I'm having a hard time kind of just looking around. I'm very used to the dual analog type remotes, which are now industry standard, especially on the Xbox and the PS4. Well, the PS1 really started it with a dual shock, but here you really, you kind of have to adjust the camera constantly to look around, see what you're doing. It's kind of cumbersome. But I mean, this was one of the first games which really used an analog stick. Now, I know someone out there is going to correct me and say some other system used it before. That is true. There were other systems that used it before. The Dreamcast used it at a similar time, but still, for a 3D gaming system, this was very advanced for the time being. I remember this being one of my favorite games, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video right now played this game too. what's great about these games now, they're pretty cheap on eBay. I picked this particular copy up in really good shape for $10. So I mean, you can't go wrong for $10. I think these cartridges used to sell for 69 years ago when they were new. Now, you know, if you take the time value of money, uh, that was a lot of money back then, especially, you know, more than 15 years ago. I guess you could say 20 years ago already at this point. So right now is a good time to pick up this game. It's gonna be a collectible one day, in my opinion. There's a good amount of them still out there in good shape, and the cartridges, what's great actually collecting for the Nintendo 64, the cartridges don't degrade almost at all. So I have a PlayStation 1 and a PS2 Slim and a PS2 Fat. And I gotta say, at least one out of two of them, usually after 10 years, breaks. There's always something wrong with the actual disc reading mechanism, or the discs themselves degrade, but the cartridges last forever. There's really nothing you could do to the Nintendo 64 that will damage it. You know, well, obviously you have to care for your systems. So as I was playing this game, I found it pretty complicated to kind of know where to go. I remember as a kid, I never used to consider that an issue. Eventually, used to find where you had to go and what you had to do. So today, you know, we're used to having these arrows lead us in games, especially games like Call of Duty, which have become my favorite genre of games, and I guess my favorite franchise of games. You really don't have to think much. You just kind of follow the arrows, the amount of meters, however far away you are. Here, you really have to excavate. You know, you have to remember where you were. These levels are really based on your memory of where you were and where you have to go and what you have to do, retrieving keys and such. But at the time, I guess having nothing to compare it to, I didn't find it to be an issue. So here you could tell I'm kind of having an issue getting through this gate. Eventually, I just, let's see, well, this portion is after I spent a good amount of time trying to get through. So here we are. This is still the first mission, and I got the sniper rifle here. As you notice, the background fairly good. The sky, the mountains, drawn really well for an old system like this. I've played a lot of other games on Nintendo 64, mainly Red Alert, Hexen, even Doom. The graphics are fairly bad. Here, the graphics aren't that bad, in my opinion. Now, I don't really remember, well, I haven't tried to play this game without the expansion port. I don't have the original, I guess it's called the well, not the original Jam Pack, whatever it was called, that was in the Nintendo 64. Um, but here, the quality is fairly good. But of course, I guess the TV could be upscaling it to whatever or whatever it is. But you know, in case you're wondering how I had it connected to my television, I'm using the standard included audio video cable, and it's a regular 1080p LCD display. You didn't have to adjust anything. It just plays in this way. So not too bad. I mean, even in today's day, the game is very playable and I would say enjoyable, honestly. It loads right away. There's no waiting times. There's no online connections. There's no codes. Well, you can get cheat codes, but you don't have to sign into anything. I mean, my Xbox One S constantly logs out for whatever reason. I can't stand it about that. Here, it's just a simple go play. The frame rates are fantastic. The system doesn't overheat. It uses 19 watts compared to, you know, at least 150 of the Xbox when it's in gameplay. So there it is, guys. Thanks for checking out this video.